All right, Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. We have some more news on Russiagate, and I don't even know if it's not connected to Russiagate after hearing his what this guy had to say. Michael Cohen is Russia's former lawyer, and the mainstream media is trying to connect it to Russiagate as best they can. Robert Mueller, I know, is obviously poking around at what Michael Cohen has to say, and he's trying to somehow, I think, justify his 2-year-long investigation into Trump-Russia collusion, which has shown there's nothing there. Get into the Cohen documents and what they really say about what's happening in this Trump-Russia hoax, which is, I think, a proven hoax now. And Cohen's documents, once again, I think, lead us to say that it is a hoax.
Indeed, it does. And can I just say something? I mean, I spent quite a lot of time going through all the paperwork on this, and I just want to make one thing absolutely clear about this, Alex. Everything that you have read about the Cohen story in mainstream media is, in my opinion, completely wrong. The opposite is the truth to what they are saying.
Completely wrong. Completely
wrong. Now, the key document, the absolutely crucial document, is the sentencing memo. That was prepared by, I think it's the New York Attorney's Office, but they're obviously working closely with Mueller, and they set out what, if you like, the government's case is against Cohen. Firstly, they say a number of things about Cohen himself. They show him as a totally dishonest, corrupt individual, totally self-seeking, greedy, cheating, treacherous, deceitful. You cannot believe a word he says. The second is that he's unquestionably someone who has greatly exaggerated his connection to Donald Trump. Now, that is something that the sentencing memo makes clear. It is Cohen who claimed that he was Donald Trump's personal lawyer. It is Cohen who was maneuvering to establish himself in the eyes of the media and the world as Donald Trump's personal fixer. His actual connection to Trump, it turns out, was not very close at all. Thirdly, on the question of the information he gave the government, in other words, Mueller, about the Russiagate investigation, the sentencing memo makes it very clear that he didn't give very much of anything, and that all the information he gave was information that Mueller already knew about. That undoubtedly includes the story about the famous hotel in Moscow that we've been hearing so much about. And I suspect that the reason Mueller knew all that information is because Donald Trump's lawyers will have already told Mueller about it. That's one thing. Now, the other thing is the story of the two payoffs to these two women, to the porn star and the playgirl, Stormy Daniels and McDougal.
Karen McDougal, yeah.
McDougal. Now, the essential point to say here is that the sentencing memo makes it absolutely clear that the intention, the idea of paying these two women came from Cohen. It was he who, as a lawyer, persuaded Donald Trump to go along with this thing, and that it seems he did not advise Donald Trump that there might be any legal issues involved, and that he bragged about it to various people. Now, bear in mind, and this is something the sentencing memo constantly harps on about, Cohen is a lawyer. It was his duty, if he thought that Donald Trump might be getting himself involved in anything that could be illegal, it was his duty to advise Donald Trump of that, and it seems he didn't. Not only that, it seems that Cohen was trying to get to use this help that he provided Donald Trump to wangle a job on the Trump administration after Trump was elected, which Trump refused to give him, and that he then deceived various people afterwards by claiming that he had connections to Donald Trump that he did not have, and got money from them promising that he could provide them with inside help and information, which he was unable to do. So the whole thing comes down to Cohen. In my opinion, Donald Trump comes out in no legal jeopardy at all.
I'm completely confused, Alexander, and I'll tell you why. I was watching all the mainstream media, reading all the articles. Cohen was on Good Morning America with Stephanopoulos. He said, Mueller has so many things on Trump. My testimony is gonna unite the United States again. You know, what I've said has revealed so much about Trump, about Stormy Daniels, about Karen McDougal, about the Russia connection. I mean, Cohen was saying all these things to Stephanopoulos. The media is making it sound like Cohen is credible, that the sentencing memo shows, is a smoking gun. Trump's going to get impeached, all these things. You just said everything that you relayed right now to me and to our viewers. This is in the sentencing memo, written in the sentencing memo.
Absolutely, and I will provide you a link, and I would like you to add it as a link to this video, because people have not read the sentencing memo, or those who have are reading into it things which are not there. The sentencing memo does not accuse Donald Trump and Michael Cohen of conspiring together to break the law. It is quite clear, as I said before, that the initiative for these payoffs. Actually, can I just go into these payoffs in a little bit more detail?
Can you also explain what's the legality of a sentencing memo? What is it really? What's the weight of it?
It carries a very great deal of weight, because it summarizes the government's case against the accused. It sets out what the government's case is, what the government thinks he has done, the kind of person he is, and the kind of sentence the government thinks he should receive.
Is this drafted by Mueller's lawyers, or is this drafted by the judge, or?
No, it comes from I think it is the New York District Attorney's Office. Okay. So it's one step removed from Mueller himself, but it is clearly done in close cooperation with Mueller. So we must assume that this also reflects Mueller's own view of Cohen. What it says, and let me repeat this again, it says that Cohen is corrupt, Cohen is a cheat. Cohen exaggerated his connection to Donald Trump and made it appear far more important than it really was, that Cohen did not enter into a conspiracy with Donald Trump of any kind, that the information Cohen provided to Mueller and to the special counsel's office was information that the special counsel's office already had and was therefore valueless, legally valueless, so it takes Russiagate nowhere at all. Now, if I can just explain what happened with these two payoffs. What happened was these two women, through their lawyers, approached a media group which was known to have connections to Donald Trump. In effect, what they were doing was they were offering their stories and they were soliciting payoffs from Donald Trump.
Extortion.
It was extortion. It was clear extortion. I mean, bear in mind, they both went to the same media group, and they were both knew. It was well known, apparently, that this media group had a connection to Donald Trump and had suppressed embarrassing stories about him before. So it was clear extortion by these two women. Cohen, the media group then got in touch with Cohen. Cohen then went to tell Trump, let's pay these women off. There's no suggestion there that he told Trump that this might break the law. I mean, there's a question mark over whether, in fact, he did break the law. But even if that possibility existed, and the sentencing memo implies that it might have done in relation to Cohen, but I want to stress Cohen himself, not Trump. Even if it did, Cohen did not advise Trump about this. And the reason Cohen might have broken the law is it seems that Cohen wanted to get Trump elected and to suppress these stories because he was hoping to get this job from Donald Trump in the administration, which he would then be able to use to make money out of. And he was apparently bragging to people before, after the election, that he not only helped Trump to get elected, but that he actually put the idea in Trump's head of actually standing for election, and that he was going to get a job in the Trump administration, which it is important to stress he never did.
Why is the Trump administration, why is no one in, say, Fox News or Breitbart or any of these publications, why are they not just digging into this memo and showing the actuality of what it says? Because it runs so counter to what CNN, MSNBC, New York Times, Washington Post, what all the other outlets are reporting.
I generally, truly don't think they've understood this well. I mean, it's written in, as I said, legal language. So it's not always entirely clear what it means. And it's sometimes, you've got to understand one thing about legal memos. If they don't actually assert something, then that something hasn't happened. So if they don't actually say there is no conspiracy between Donald Trump and Cohen. What they say is Cohen told Trump to do X, Y, Z. In other words, it doesn't say that there was an agreement between them to pervert the legal or constitutional or election process. That's an important point to make. And I think a lot of people don't grasp this. But Trump himself has understood this, has understood what the sentencing memo means. And that is why he has published his famous tweet in which he says quite clearly that I never asked Cohen to break the law. Cohen is a lawyer himself. Yeah. He should know what the law is. It is for him to give me advice. And if he doesn't give me advice, he must bear the consequences. Now, the reason Donald Trump has made that tweet is undoubtedly because his own lawyers, first and foremost, I'm sure Rudy Giuliani, are advising him about the legal implications of the sentencing memo. But as I said, the sentencing memo does not read the way people think it does and the way the media is spinning it. And I think gradually, as time progresses, we will see that. The only person who may have broken the law with respect to the two payoffs is Cohen. There is some suggestion that one of Donald Trump's companies may have broken the law, but I suspect that would not be a very serious violation. And on top of everything else, and I come back to your original question, on Russiagate, the information Cohen has provided has not advanced the investigation at all. So you're thinking that Trump tweet was not one of Trump's spontaneous tweets, no, but a carefully crafted, a legally approved tweet that he set out. Absolutely. I think Trump, on that occasion, knew exactly what he was saying. I think he's had a discussion with his lawyers. I think Giuliani has explained it to him, and then he went off and he put out that tweet there, setting out what his position is going to be in case the Democrats try to make use of this to try and prove that he was in some way a co-conspirator to a felony. But what people are saying, and what you see all over the media, that because Cohen has admitted guilt to a felony, that means that Trump has also committed that felony. That is not true. And can I stress again, that is not what the sentencing memo says.
So all the hysteria that, Cohen, through Cohen, we've got Trump. Through Cohen, we can impeach Trump is exactly that hysteria. My final question.
It's spin. It's spin.
That's the word. Complete spin. My final question to you. Do you think that the Trump administration, his legal team, his strategists, maybe even some of the media that is friendly to Trump is purposefully not driving too deep into this because they're just waiting for Mueller, for the liberal, neoliberal, Hillary Clinton, whatever you want to call it, deep state mainstream media to continue to dig their own hole, and eventually, when all is said and done and the dust settles, and Mueller's investigation wraps up, Trump, his team are going to start hitting back at them hard?
Exactly. That's exactly what I think the tactic is. I think that this is a situation where they're laying a trap. because I think they realize very well that the Democrats are on a hiding to nothing on this one, and that if they try and bring impeachment proceedings against Donald Trump on this, it will blow up in their faces. It will blow up in their faces because the two people that they are depending on, they're setting up as the victims, that's to say McDougal and Stormy Daniels, are not victims at all, but as I say, extortioners. I mean, that's entirely what they were. And that Cohen, who it is important to stress, I should mention this, I forgot to mention this, the sentencing memo makes absolutely clear, does not have a cooperation agreement with Mueller, and is not accepted by Mueller as a cooperating witness because, one, he had no information of value to provide, and two, because he is a dishonest and dishonorable cheat, and nothing he says can be taken seriously. But regardless of that, it is Cohen who has broken the law here, not Trump, at least according to what the sentencing memo says.
It's stunning to hear this from you, Alexander. I'm stunned, and we talk a lot about stuff, but I mean, to hear this from you now, and I'm listening to it from you for the first time, as our viewers are going to be listening to this video, and I think everyone's going to be kind of like, geez, what the hell's going on? Because Cohen yesterday was on Good Morning America, Stephanopoulos, saying the exact opposite, that I'm Mueller's key witness.
Yes. Well, as I said, the sentencing memo makes it absolutely clear that is not the case. He does not have any kind of smoking gun. I don't know why he's going on saying that. Well, of course, I mean, I do partly. He was able to wangle out from the judge a much lower sentence than he should have got, and which the sentencing memo says, by the way. The sentencing memo says that Cohen is not really justified in seeking leniency, but he and his media friends are going out there. Cohen, in this way, is made out to be this heroic figure who was protecting Trump. But that is quite clearly not what was the truth. It is not what Mueller thinks. It is not what the government thinks. And it simply isn't the truth. The sentencing memo makes it absolutely clear. It says it in unequivocal language that Cohen exaggerated both the role he had with Trump. He was not Trump's great fixer, as he pretends. Not only did he exaggerate it, but that he tried to use his connection to Trump for his own personal greedy advantage.
What do you make, very quickly, of the three to 4 month lag time from this sentencing to when Cohen actually does serve out his term? How do you think Cohen's going to use that time? How do you think Mueller's going to use that time? Trump administration, what do you think's going to happen?
I think Mueller has washed his hands of Cohen. I think he's decided that Cohen is a useless witness and that he's not going to make any use of him. Either the Democrats are going to use him for all he's worth. I'm afraid we're going to see more and more of him appearing on television programs, speaking to the media, telling his story, spinning his story as he wants it, because that, in order to do the maximum possible damage to Donald Trump, in order to gain the maximum sympathy for himself, so that when he comes out of prison in a couple of years' time, he will be a hero for the Democrats and he will be able to reestablish the very corrupt career which he had previously. And if you want to see how corrupt it was, you have to go to the sentencing memo. I mean, this was a man who was not just dishonest, but serially dishonest. I mean, he was as crooked as a bent fork.
It's a shame that Trump surrounded himself with these types of characters.
Well, he did so. I mean, Trump, as our friend Peter Lavelle has said, has had a very bad HR problem. The one observation I would say, and this is, again, I go back to the sentencing memo, it is now questionable whether Cohen was actually as close to Trump as he led people to think. And it may be that the relationship between Trump and Cohen was not as close as we supposed. And if that is the case, then it may be that Trump was not quite as taken in by Cohen as we all thought he was. I mean, Cohen did do some useful things for Trump. The sentencing memo describes how the two became involved with each other, and it's not a very long history, by the way, but a couple of years ago, the Trump organization hired Cohen to help them with some difficult tenants, and Cohen dealt with that apparently very efficiently, very quickly, and on that basis, the Trump organization were quite impressed by Cohen, and they kept him on as a lawyer on a $500,000 retainer, which is not unusual, by the way, but that doesn't make him Donald Trump's arch fixer in the way that Cohen pretended that he was. And I come back to this. The sentencing memo pours cold water on that idea.
I can't help to thinking out loud and maybe thinking a little bit conspiratorially. I can't help to think the first time Cohen's name came to my attention was during the Steele dossier. Absolutely. And the passport, him being in Czechoslovakia, in Czech Republic, and the famous passport which shows that he never stepped foot in the Czech Republic. It seems to me that, I don't know, maybe Cohen was deliberately brought into this somehow through the Steele dossier, because before that, no one even knew who the hell Cohen was. And then all of a sudden, you have this lawyer of Trump's, going on the internet and tweeting out his passport, which showed he never was in Czech Republic. And all of a sudden, Cohen became a character in this whole Trump-Russia, Mueller investigation hoax from that moment in time.
Alex, I have absolutely no doubt about that. I am sure, I am certain that you are absolutely right about this. Now, apart from George Papadopoulos, who does not feature in the Trump dossier, in the Steele dossier, a very interesting fact, given that he was the only Trump campaign aide who had any contact with people, important people in Russia. Apart from George Papadopoulos, all the senior people in the Trump campaign or who connected in any way to the Trump campaign that Mueller went for, Manafort and Cohen, first and foremost, are the people who appear most prominently in the Steele dossier. Manafort is supposed to have been the major orchestrator of the whole supposed conspiracy between the Trump and the Russians. And Cohen is made to be this key point man who has this secret meeting in Prague. And I have no doubt at all that what happened was that Mueller's people, taking their cue from the Trump dossier, the Steele dossier, believing its contents, or at least, supposing that they could be true, went after Manafort and went after Cohen, looking to see whether the allegations in the Steele dossier were true. And we can now say definitely that they were not true, and that the Steele dossier is a farrago of lies.
Yeah, but it seems, and they probably, Mueller and the deep state probably had to just continue to drive that narrative because they had no choice. So everything started with the dossier, and they couldn't walk any of it back because the imperative was to drive deeper into trying to implicate Trump on some sort of Russia collusion theory.
Exactly. I mean, this is what's happened. I mean, now they're prowling around for other things to find. As I said, they've tried it with McDougal and Stormy Daniels. I don't think that's going to go anywhere, especially after what I read in the sentencing memo. So that's not going anywhere. They've made the most that they can from the Veselnitskaya Donald Trump Jr. meeting. They may try and resurrect this obstruction of justice thing, but I don't think that's going to go anywhere at all. And we saw with Michael Flynn that they basically had to give up any idea of sentencing Michael Flynn. I think if the risk they ran if they tried to ask for a sentence for Michael Flynn is that he'd have come to court and he would have told the truth about what they'd been up to. And I don't think they wanted to face that risk. So they've agreed that he shouldn't serve any time in prison. George Papadopoulos is now talking about suing Mueller and standing for Congress, which is very interesting. And, of course, Carter Page, who is the other person who's named in the Steele dossier and who was also the subject of what were almost certainly, unquestionably illegal FISA warrants and FISA surveillance. It looks like he's going to sue also. So, I mean, the whole thing has collapsed, but they're trying to spin. They're trying to spin it in every way they can. They're trying to ramp up any kind of connections, like those between Corsi and WikiLeaks, which never happened, as it turns out, like Stone and what he was supposed to have done with WikiLeaks, and it doesn't seem to me that amounted to very much. They're trying, Donald Trump Jr.'s meeting with Veselnitskaya. They're trying however much they can to try to construct a case, but that case just isn't there.
Stunning and insightful analysis, Alexander Mercouris. Guys, if you're watching this video, share this video, because we are certain, I'm certain, I'm sure Alexander is certain, that many people have missed the mark on the sentencing memo and what is really going on with Michael Cohen and what's being reported as to Michael Cohen's relationship with Trump and the Trump organization, and who this guy is, the character of this man, because everything that we're hearing runs completely contrary to what the sentencing memo is telling us.
Exactly.
And I'd rather believe the sentencing memo, I guess, is that's the document to look towards.
Well, can I just say, Alex, we have to, because that's the evidence. Everything that you hear is not evidence; it's just what people are saying. But the sentencing memo is spin. What the sentencing memo says is we must treat it as fact, because it was a submission made to the court in order to obtain a sentence on a person who has been found guilty of serious crimes.
Excellent. Alexander Mercouris, editor-in-chief of the Duran. Guys, if you like this video, click on the subscribe button. Also, click on that notifications bell. Smash that like button. It really helps us out a lot. Share the video with your friends. Go to the Duran shop, 20% off all throughout December. We still have a couple more weeks. Buy a t-shirt. That helps us out. PayPal, Patreon, donation links in the description box down below. And, of course, you can get this show on audio format on iTunes and on SoundCloud. So subscribe there, and you can get this show on audio format. Alexander Mercouris, thank you very much. Till next time, everybody, take care.